So this is JCJ once again for another episode. Thank you guys for joining in. And I'm here with my friend Grace. We're going to talk a little bit about a few things regarding the dynamics and effects of the beautiful women of Black America and also the women in Africa. Some of the similarities, some of the differences, some of the things that we both see in between the different cultures, and some of the reasons why some men may prefer Black American women or some men may prefer African women, depending on what type. Now, we're just generalizing overall. This doesn't mean it's always true. Every case, there's a different situation. But this is just based on both of our experiences. Both of us are highly educated. Of course, you guys know that I'm well traveled, so I have a good perspective on Africa and also, of course, Black America. So we're going to go into detail about that and really get it in. Grace, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I hope everyone is doing well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So when we're talking about the differences between Black American women and African women and Black American women, what do you see as far as the differences in your opinion?
Okay, there is a lot of differences. First of all, when it comes to exposure, the way an African American woman is exposed, it's really very different. And what we African women here in the continent we might see that is exposure for them is really not it. Like, let me just talk about education part of it. In Africa, when a woman has like a secondary school diploma, it's regarded like, oh, she's gone to school. But in America, if a Black woman has gone to school just for after secondary school, that is really not nothing. Like, and you find in America, like African American women, they go like to master's degree, PhD degrees, and all that. But when it comes to Africa, you'll find a woman will be more scared to go to an extent of getting a master's degree or PhD because she thinks that might affect maybe her marriage in the future, her relationship life, or even the society at large. And I can give an example of that. Like myself being educated in a family where like everyone is average, sometimes my mom comes and tell me, hey, you're gonna marry. Because here education is seen as threat to men. So that's really one of the difference. Another thing is when it comes to submission, I feel like there is really a difference on it.
Before you get to that, let's talk a little bit about that because that's a big one, right? That's a big one. All right, so the education part first. When we talk about Africa, we're just speaking on sub-Saharan Africa because there's very similar cultures. So whether it's South Africa, Zimbabwe, Kenya, and just to let them know, to let the viewers know, you also have experience living in four or more African countries, and you're also multicultural because you have different sides of you as far as being African. So we don't mean to generalize Africa, even though it's 54 countries. We know that. We're just speaking in terms of general because there's many similarities between the African countries. Now, as far as the education, you're 100% correct because actually, there were certain reports done that said Black Americans were the most educated out of any subgroup in America, which means that right now they're on pace to being the highest educated next to the Asians and so forth. So they're definitely more educated than the Black American men for sure, and most people generally. And it could be a good and bad thing, but that's definitely a positive thing, and it's a difference in culture. So now let's get to this very interesting topic that you just touched on regarding submission. First, let me ask you, what is, in your opinion, submission for a woman to submit? What is that?
Okay, for me, as an educated woman,
Yes.
I'm traditional, modern, I can say. For me, submission is having power and choosing not to use it. That's the meaning of submission to me. Let me give an example. If, for example, I'm married to you and you are my husband and you wake up and tell me, babe, today I don't want you to go to that conference. and I choose not to go, not because I don't have the money, not because I can't pay my own ticket, not because I can't leave the house, but I submit to you because I obey you as my husband, and I choose to. I'm like, okay, let me just make peace and let me do this. So that's for me submission. In a difference of like, I don't have money, I don't have any way. So if I'm telling you, babe, I'm going for this conference, meaning you're going to pay my ticket, you're going to pay my stay, accommodation, everything, and then you tell me, hey, you're not going. Sometimes I'll choose to stay because I really don't have a way forward. Like, okay, even if I want to go, I don't have any way. Like, So sometimes people confuses submission with not just having a way out. And then women choose to stay because they're like, okay, I'm broke, I don't have a job, I'm not educated, so even if I leave this person, there's no way I'm going. So you're not really submitting because you have, but you're submitting because you don't have. And for me, that is not submission. Because if you empower that woman tomorrow and get her job or business, and then she's empowered, maybe she just wake up and be like, hey, you're not my type anymore, or I'll do whatever I want. Or even if you say and you come, hey, I don't want you to do this, she will do it because she feels like she has the power. So for
That's
me,
a good way of defining it, and it's
like,
a way of female empowerment without being an ultra feminist.
yeah. So for me, that's submission to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when it comes to differences between the way we African here we submit and the American black women,
Based on your perspective.
based on my perspective and what I've of course watched videos and
Absolutely.
heard people talking, like it's so easy for an American African woman to tell her husband, I'm going out with my friends. But here in Africa, it's really not a thing. Like, you can't just wake up and tell your man, hey, I'm going out with my friend. Be like, what the hell going on? Like, why are you going out with your friends? You're a married woman. You should be in the house. So for us, we see that as a way of submission, which is really totally different on the other side. Like, you can still be a submissive woman and still go outside with your friend. Like, go for lunch and dinner and all that. So that's one. Another thing is, in Africa, we relate submission to cooking and cleaning and taking care of the house and the home. So when you don't do that, your husband can even go complain to your family. She doesn't submit, she doesn't do anything. So it becomes an issue. But in America, I don't think that is an issue. Like,
the family don't care.
Yeah, the family.
Well, you also not paying no lobola or dowry or anything like that. But yeah.
And also, like, in America, a man can cook, can clean, can take care of the kids. It's really another whole different thing.
I hate America. I'm joking.
It's just like different.
Yeah.
And also another thing that why maybe we submit more even on things that people don't submit in the Western world is because, as you said, the lobola thing. So it like gives the man entitlement on you as a person, as a woman. Like, now they have paid my bride price. I have to obey my husband. I have to cook for him. So it's like kinda, can I say payback? Not payback, but it's just like, it's like you owe someone something indirectly. And it's a cultural thing that is installed in you when you're still young.
Yeah, that's facts.
So for me, that few things I can say about submission. The difference between the Western black women and the African woman. Maybe you can add something.
I really like the way that you talked about submission just now, because you didn't address it in a way where someone is lowering themselves and because they have no choice. That's not really what you want. You want a woman that can do, but she won't necessarily do to upkeep the situation. And I think that's more common in Africa compared to America for sure. I think that how in America, like you said, there's, I don't know if it's always a good thing, but it's where the woman would just kind of just do whatever she pleases without kind of consideration. I'm not saying all, obviously, guys or girls. I'm saying that how in most cases with me growing up, I've seen women just kind of without considering kind of how the husband felt, just doing it because they wanted to do it. And in Africa, you have to, the woman would more generally consider how her husband feels and stuff like that before she just does it. So, okay, we can agree on those differences so far. What else would you say is another difference?
Okay, you've traveled as well.
Yes.
So what do you think is a difference between an African woman and a black American woman?
I would say a difference between an African and a Black American woman. God damn it.